to the September 12th meeting of the City of Lowell License Commission. Was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Okay. Before we start, I'd just like to welcome our newest member, John Dakota. And we've had kind of a revolving seat over here, so we're hoping you stick around for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
First on the agenda?
Gentlemen, if you had a chance to look at the minutes from the meeting of August the 22nd, I know Commissioner Krieger and Commissioner Occasion were present, and I don't know if you have any issues.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
First is the special one-day license application for wine only, Karen Boutet, the Zeitgeist Gallery at 167 Market Street for the following. She has four applications. The Fall Coupe Show reception, Thursday, September 12th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Messages the Medium, Prince, Propaganda, and Persuasion reception, Thursday, October 10th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Printmaking reception, Saturday, October 26th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the art opening, Saturday, November 9th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Should we state your name for the record? All right. Karen, have you received one of these licenses before?
At our gallery, but I didn't apply for it myself.
Okay. How are you going to obtain the alcohol?
Andy's wholesaler.
A wholesaler, okay. And what are you going to serve the alcohol in?
Glasses.
That's a good answer. Wine glasses, or how much is going to be served? What's going to be served?
Probably little plastic cups.
Okay, all right. Just remember the license is in your name, okay? So you have control over it. I don't think anybody's going there to overindulge, but just make sure that you're in control at the time of the hearing, and that you're aware of who's being served and who's not being served, and that there's no one under the age of 21 drinking alcohol.
Right.
Either.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yeah.
this young woman has an application that's scheduled for this evening. I'm not sure if you're cognizant of that.
Oh, I was under the impression that that wouldn't be included. Mr. Nguyen, you had said that it was too late for that one?
Well, it's on the agenda. Are you scheduled to have that this evening anyways, or were you?
It's going on now, yeah. Without wine,
Without wine?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, so we don't have to, we'll
So it'll just
scratch
be
that
the-
one from the record.
Okay.
You have any comments? No?
I was just interested in the second one, but I'll have to ask offline.
All right.
I move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Commission now take up applications for malt beverages and wine only, or either one, for special one day. William Fuller, manager, the Bartending Service of New England, LLC, Lowell, at Lowell Memorial Auditorium for 50 East Merrimack Street. The event is the Young Professionals of Greater Lowell reception, Thursday, September 19th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Nicole Phillips, manager of the Bartending Service, is here as representative. Also, William Fuller, manager of the Bartending Service of New England, Lowell Memorial Auditorium, 50 East Merrimack Street. The event is Smith Fest 2013 for Saturday, September 28th, from 5 p.m. to 12 midnight. Penny Hammergas of Worthing Cafe for Sunday, September 29th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The event is the 11th annual Jack Kerouac 5K. It's a road race. Beer concession to be held in the enclosed parking lot at 152 Worthing Street. Elizabeth Kegley of the Merrimack Repertory Theater, Liberty Hall, 50 East Merrimack Street, for their theatrical performances, starting with September 19th and running into October 13th, 2013. There are 18 dates. This will be a concession, sales, and service for 45 minutes prior to the performance and during a 15-minute intermission. Jay Correa. Is Jay Correa here? Who is of Aramark, for Friday, September 13th, from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. The event is the Engineering Employee Reception, to be held at the UML Emerging Technology Innovation Center at 40 University Ave. Archdeacon Donald P. Roberts of the Anglican Diocese in New England, Friday, September 20th, from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. The event is a VIP artist reception, private, to be held at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, 50 East Merrimack Street. Ann Conte is here on his behalf of the Developmental Office for the Anglican Diocese of New England. Vula Ioannidis of the Holy Trinity Orthodox Church for Saturday, September 28th, from 12 noon to 10 p.m. The event is the Holy Trinity Family Blend. It's an indoor festival to be held at the Hellenic American Academy Cultural Center at 41 Broadway.
Introduce yourselves for the record.
Nicole Phillips, the bartending service in New England.
Penny Hammergust, Worthen House Cafe.
Jake Ray with Aramark.
Elizabeth Kegley, Merrimack Repertory Theater.
Ann Conti, Anglican Diocese in New England.
Vula from Holy Trinity Parish in Lowell.
How many of you have had licenses before? Just two, okay. With the one-day licenses, the thing you gotta remember, number one, the license is in your name. It's not in the entity's name, it's whoever is listed here as the applicant. So they have complete control as to who's being served the alcohol, checking IDs, etc. If you don't feel comfortable, or the individual who's applied doesn't feel comfortable, they can cease service at any time. You should make sure you have the Lowell Police Department in your cell phone. Don't call 911, call the Lowell Police directly. Also, the license should be posted in a conspicuous location, so that way if anybody comes by, they know where the license is and that you're licensed to serve. That's all I have.
Nicole Phillips, are you speaking for both of the bartending services of New England?
Yes.
Okay, that's good, thanks.
Anything? All right. Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. So moved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Commission will now take up the applications for a special event permit for amplification of sound. The Worthen House Cafe, Inc., Penny Hammergast manager, for Sunday, September 29th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., the sound system for band and/or disc jockey at the parking lot at 152 Worthen Street. The event is the 11th annual Jack Kerouac 5K. Also, Mill City Grows, Flancy Slater? Yes, okay. The representative, the sound system for band, Saturday, September 28th, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Rotary Club Park Community Garden, Richmond Ave, off of Hudson Street. That's off of Back Central.
Introduce yourselves for the record.
Penny Hammergust, Worthen House Cafe.
Francie Slater, Mill City Grows.
Okay. I say this all the time, but the amplification of sound license is a common sense license. We don't want to hear it across the city. All the hours here are more than reasonable. So I hope you guys get good weather. Anybody got anything?
Nothing.
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Good luck.
There's a couple of copies of the application. Commission will now take up the application by the Club Pastime of Lowell, Massachusetts, the all-alcoholic beverage club licensee at 369, 371 Moody Street, for a change of officers and directors.
Introduce yourself for the record.
My name's Attorney Philip Nyman. My office is in Gorham Street in Lowell, and I'm representing the Pastime Club. To my left is the new president and the new manager of the club, Robert Arcand. And if you can't remember his name, whenever you drive on Arcand Drive, that's who his family is.
Great.
Do you want me to summarize this very quickly? Because I know you have a lot of people.
Very quickly, Attorney Nyman. You got to make you earn your money.
They were here before, a couple weeks ago, and there was a problem with the ABCC. You had the resignation of the officers, you had the resignation of a Mr. Ouellette as president and Mr. Ouellette as manager. You people voted to have Mr. Arcan succeed him as manager. These documents all went down to the ABCC, and the ABCC said that's wonderful, but you didn't get your new officers appointed. So we've reapplied with the entire package. It's been reviewed by Ryan, and Mr. Arcand is the, in addition to manager, he's the president. And that's basically, and then all the other officers who are listed in there who were previously on the board, with the exception of Mr. Roulette, who does not appear anywhere at all. Were selected, were voted, and there's proper votes. We are hoping that if you people vote favorably tonight, we can then get everything back down to the ABCC. We have a motion for them to grant us a speedy hearing and revoke the suspension of the license, and that would then put Pastime Club in good standing.
Great. Any comments?
Yeah, the board understands the problem about inspectors being allowed in and the need to not appear to be conducting illegal activities. Is that true?
No illegal activities whatsoever. This was a lack of common sense by an experienced person in the business. They were in there legitimately. They were doing some examinations. They did not find anything illegal. They didn't find anything improper. But because they weren't allowed to go into the office and check records, they said, okay, you want us to leave? They were instructed to get out. They got out. They were given a period of time to correct this. Then they went to the found out they hadn't filed change of officer forms. They hadn't done bookkeeping matters. Nothing illegal, nothing improper, no failure to pay taxes, no discipline from the police or from your board. And then they were advised, don't worry, we can win this. And they didn't. And the License Commission took it very seriously, the ABCC took it very seriously, and just didn't want a precedent set. But they've been in business for years. There was nothing wrong. There was no fighting, no excessive serving of alcohol, or anything illegal going on. They just violated the rules that should never have been violated. Does that answer your question, sir?
I think so.
Mr. Nyman, can you tell me what the status is of the poker machines that are in the club at this time?
I know nothing about the poker machines. I know nothing about any action taken with respect to the poker machines. And anything that I'm filing for now has nothing to do with the poker machines. They had a counsel who had something to do with the poker machines, whether he represented them or the poker machine companies, I don't know. But I have no knowledge whatsoever of the poker machines.
Mr. Arcan, do you have any knowledge? Does Mr. Arcan have any knowledge?
All I know about the poker machines, that they're for amusement only. For amusement only.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I got hook slides here. Ryan,
Oh, you have it there? Oh, good.
you want these back so you don't lose
Saves
them?
me from
That's-
looking for it.
That's the last
you.
one, yeah.
Commission will now take up the matter of an application for change of manager by Hookslide Kelly's LLC, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee for premises at 19 Merrimack Street. The proposed new manager is David E. Healy Jr. of Haverhill, Mass.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Brian McInerney.
David Healy.
Mr. Healy, where do you currently reside?
I reside in Belvedere section of Lowell.
Okay. I was just, because it said Haverhill, Mass. And
Yeah, I saw that too.
Okay.
It might have just got confused when I listed my previous addresses.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's what I thought. All right, have you ever been a manager of an establishment with alcohol?
No, I have not, sir.
Okay. I know you worked there because I've seen you there before.
Yes.
How long have you been employed there?
I've been there for almost 4 years now.
Okay. Mr. McInerney has done a great job of quelling the issues that were at that establishment for a short period of time. We haven't had any issues in the, going back a couple of years with them now. And you've been involved in the day-to-day management or as a bouncer, or what have you been doing?
Yes, I have. I've been in his security since Mr. McInerney has owned it, and within the last year to 6 months, I've become the head of their security.
Okay, great. All right. Have you been tip certified?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And how many hours a week do you plan to be at the establishment?
Between 35 and 40, sir.
Okay, great. I don't have any questions.
Would those hours consist of Friday nights and Saturday nights as well?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. It's just, it's got to be approved by the ABCC before you're appointed.
Thank you.
Yep. That's what I was going to address. Are we skipping that auto repair one?
I'm sorry?
The auto sales, are we going to skip?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. This application does not have a lease agreement. Commission will now take up the matter of an application by Commonwealth Auto Sales and Repair Corp., Davy L. Borba, President, for used car dealer license, Class 2, premises at 639 Rogers Street. The licensee of record for 2013 presently is Middlesex Auto Sales Corp., Valdir L. Borba, President, 639 Rogers Street. The license number for Middlesex Auto Sales is 739-B. The premises is an open lot, approximately 70 feet by 125 feet, with an office trailer, 12 feet by 40 feet. There is a condition on the license of a maximum number of vehicles for sale and storage is 15, and also there is to be no junk vehicles or parts of junk vehicles.
Introduce yourself for the record.
My name is David Barber.
Ryan, just before we start. So this lease and sublease,
The landlord is JEG
Okay.
Trust,
yeah?
and Richard Daggett is the sublessee.
Oh, okay, all right.
Now, Mr. Daggett must have it in his lease or some condition or agreement where he
sublease.
can sublet, in which Middlesex Auto Sales has a lease from, a sublet, he's a subleasing from Mr. Daggett.
Okay. Where is 639 Rogers Street?
On Route 38,
Wait,
next to Dunkin' Donuts.
hang on. How many cars are on the property right now?
15 cars.
Okay. You sure about that?
I am.
Okay, all right. And whose cars are they that are on there right now?
Myself and my brother. My cars and my brother's.
Okay. And you don't have a license for that location, do you?
Not yet.
Then why are there cars there?
My brother has a current license there.
Okay. But you just said they were your cars, didn't you?
I have investment. I've been in the business with my brother for a while, but he's the head of the business.
I made the cars are actually licensed, the title under my name, but they bought under my license.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure that everything is there. Mr. Borba, you have another license in the city?
Not under my name,
You have no, do you have any other licenses anywhere in the Commonwealth?
no.
No, this is your first time?
Yes.
Okay. Where do you plan on obtaining your vehicles?
In the same premises, 639 Rogers.
No, how do you plan to obtain your vehicles?
Through auctions,
Through auction? Okay. All right, and have you been to the auction before?
many times.
Okay, and you're an experienced buyer?
Yes.
Okay. And you're familiar with the rules and regulations of the City of Lowell and the general laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts relative to the sale and purchase of secondhand motor vehicles?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. The issue I have with this is, every time I drive by there, there's more than 15 cars on the property. So we're just, if the license is to be granted, we're putting you on notice that there should not be any more than 15 cars.
Our personal cars also get parked there because we have no extra parking. So you might see parked cars with license plates on it. Those are ours.
I'm glad you said that, because I went by your establishment today, and there was 18 cars.
My car was there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's still 17, though.
Sometimes on Sundays, there's 2 cars parked in the middle area between the 2 lines of cars.
That's correct.
Are they used cars?
Yes. It's because we have an event, someone came in to the property and stole rims. They park into it. I had no camera system in it, and I have the police report for this. They came in and they stole the rims on the car, left the car on the jacks, and I had to install the camera system and close the lot somehow.
That's right. It always seems like that lot has a lot of cars, so just letting you know. Now, who is your lease with?
My list with?
Yeah.
It's under my brother's name.
Okay.
With Richard.
And why isn't your brother applying for the license?
He does have it.
He already has license.
No, okay, but how are you getting the lease? What have you signed? With whom to take over that property?
My brother took the property over the beginning of the year, and now I've been in the business with my brother since 2011.
Yep.
And now we've decided that I'm going to take one lot, if the chamber allows me to.
I'm just getting confused with the lease. That's
Yes,
my
it is a little bit convoluted. Presently, the lessee is Richard Daggett.
Right.
The agreement, as it stands right now, for the current licensee, Middlesex Auto Sales Inc., Valdir Boulder, gentleman who's with Davy, his brother,
Right.
is the Daggett is sublet. Now, I quite honestly cannot find any clause in the lease that would suggest that Mr. Daggett may do that. But at the present time, Middlesex Auto Sales does have an agreement with Mr. Daggett to lease from him those premises. If that be true and valid, then Davy Borba, as representative for Commonwealth Auto Sales and Repair Corp., would need to establish a similar relationship with Mr. Daggett in place of Middlesex Auto Sales,
Right.
which he presently doesn't have. If that's,
I mean, it's under assignment or subleasing, it says, you shall not assign or sublease unless there's prior consent of the lessor. And in what we have, we don't have the prior consent anywhere. And then we don't have any, be like a sublease. It needs to,
If I may.
the paper trail needs to
Correct.
follow the
If I
line.
may, the lawyer from Richard is going to amend the current
Could you speak to the microphone, please?
Yes, Richard's lawyer will amend my lease, include my brother's name on the lease. It was supposed to be done today, but
When is that gonna happen?
first thing tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Right.
I'm yeah, that's going to continue it.
If we manage to vote you, I would expect you to be back here at the next meeting with that paperwork to show us.
Sure will.
I'm going to make a motion that we continue this to the next hearing upon the applicant providing all the necessary documentation to show that he has a legal right to use 639
I'll second that.
Rogers Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yay, nay? Nay, okay. 2 to 1.
2 to 1?
Well, glad I came in.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's my first name.
So we'll see you at the next meeting.
Yes.
Just make sure it's done right.
Yeah, this all come up on the QT just this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I gave you what you needed.
Yeah.
You want that?
Yeah, I'll take it, well, unless you want it.
No, okay. Okay, now the commission will open a hearing that was continued from August 22nd, 2013, on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Deborah Fiedel, interim superintendent of police, against the Hayhurst Group, Inc., doing business as Finn's Pub, 7686 Merrimack Street, Kevin Hayhurst, manager, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee. Date of alleged violation is May 4th, 2013. Alleged violations are of most recent regulations of the License Commission, Section 1.16 of the License Commission, manager's responsibilities, and Section 1.20, illegal activities.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Raymond Weicker. I'm here on behalf of Hayhurst Group, Inc., doing business as Finn's Pub.
Okay.
And I have here with me Mr. Kevin Hayhurst, who is the manager of record.
Kevin Hayhurst, Hayhurst Group, Inc.
Would you like the complaint read into the record?
We'll waive the reading.
Okay. Captain Webb, could you just summarize the complaint?
Mr. Chairman, on Saturday, May 4th of this year at 6:55 p.m., Deputy Chief Robert Flynn of the Lowell Fire Department notified the police department that police and medical assistance were needed for a man down in front of Finn's Pub on Merrimack Street. Officer Chad Collins and other officers responded and found Joshua Holstrom, 23 years old, to be injured. Mr. Holmstrom had abrasions over his right eye and injuries to his lower lip and chin. He told the officers that there had been a disturbance in the bar and that he had been struck outside. Officer Collins spoke with a patron, Jenna Costa, 22 years old. Ms. Costa stated that she was inside of Finn's Pub and observed the incident through a window. She saw a man punch Mr. Holstrom and knock him to the ground. She then saw the suspect kick Mr. Holstrom in the face. Officer Collins also spoke with Eric Bresnahan, 21 years old. Mr. Bresnahan confirmed Ms. Costa's account of the incident. Both Ms. Costa and Mr. Bresnahan identified Kevin Hayhurst, the manager of Finn's Pub, as the assailant. Statements were later taken from the victim and the two witnesses by Detective Gary Dillon and have been provided to the commission. A review of the Lowell Police Department dispatch records indicates that there was no notification for a disturbance of Finn's Pub from the licensee or employees at the time of the disturbance. Notification to the police department was made by Lowell Fire Department Deputy Flynn, who was passing by. Mr. Hayhurst did call the police department at 7:38 p.m., 43 minutes later, asking that his report of a disturbance be logged. As of the date of the superintendent's communication to the License Commission and up until today's date, no written report of the incident has been received from the licensee or the manager by the License Commission or the police department. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a couple of clarifications regarding the statements that have previously been submitted to the License Commission. There was some discrepancy about a misunderstanding whether Ms. Costa was actually on the second floor of the premises. Ms. Costa was finally contacted today by Detective Dillon, and that has been cleared up. She was on the first floor in the establishment of Finn's Pub. Apparently, she was on some type of elevated landing or step near the window,
All right.
looking out from the first floor. So we would like to make it clear that we're not alleging that she was on the second floor.
Okay.
And also, I have today talked to Mr. Holstrom, and Mr. Holstrom does not remember being struck by anyone. So he is here if you'd like to hear from him. Officer Collins is also here.
Okay. Mr. Holmstrom, could you take the podium? You didn't get hit that evening?
Pardon?
You didn't get injured that evening?
Well, I had a swelling on my forehead and some scrapes on my face, but I don't recall being kicked. When I hit the ground, I lost consciousness for a short period, and when I regained consciousness is when I had a couple of people come up to me and say that I had gotten kicked.
Okay, and how did you get to the ground?
When there was an altercation inside, and I had friends inside that I was trying to get to the door to get them out of it, and when it went outside, a couple of people got wrestled to the ground, and I was right there, and I either got pushed or tripped over and hit the ground.
Attorney White, do you have any questions for Mr. Holmstrom? No. Thank you for appearing tonight.
Thank you.
And if I may, I would object to the amended version of the sworn statement given by Ms. Costa, who stated that she was on the second floor of Finn's. It was yesterday that we were contacted regarding the status of the second floor at Finn's, and we had an invitation to the building inspector to come down and inspect the premises to determine that it was not in service. We also provided today photographs of the second floor showing that it is completely under construction, missing walls, ceilings, floors, and having debris and obstacles that no reasonable person could get to, that it was also sealed, requiring keyed locked access. And after all of that, now the story has changed to she was suddenly on the first floor, but she's not here today to actually swear to any of that, when she previously gave a statement under oath to the police department saying that she was on the second floor observing this. This is an individual who, by her own admission, had been drinking heavily all day at a pub crawl, and now suddenly remembers, after being confronted with photographs, that she couldn't possibly have been where she swore she was under oath several days after the incident. She didn't even make her statement to the police until some 3 or 4 days after. So I'm going to object to the amended version of any testimony, especially when it's not only hearsay, but hearsay that directly contradicts sworn testimony.
Just in terms of her affidavit, if she was on the second or third floor, could you see people on the sidewalk from the second or third floor?
You would be hard-pressed. I myself went up to the second floor and took the photographs that were provided to the License Commission. You would have to, and I had to, navigate several hurdles of debris, including construction debris, gaps in flooring, and to do so in the dark because it is an unlit area that is not presently serviced by lighting. It would be a challenge, to say the least, to do at some 7 o'clock at night. And even if you were standing flush against the window, you are now at an elevation of approximately 15 feet above the street level. You would then be looking down and trying to see what was going on directly below you. The best angle you could manage would get you somewhere near the curb or the parked cars. So there would be no way to visibly see anything going on the sidewalk. There certainly would be no way for her to be talking to her friends, as she stated, who were outside.
So it's plausible that in her affidavit, the word upstairs is just meant to be on the up a stair and not upstairs?
No, I find it wholly
just
implausible.
let me finish, and then it says upstairs with a group of friends. We stayed for 45 minutes. We were still upstairs looking out the window. And if she was on the second or third floor, she couldn't have looked. You just said that you were there yesterday, and that if you looked out the window, you wouldn't be able to see him. So it leads me to believe that the word upstairs would mean up on that ledge on the first floor.
Well, I mean, I would actually draw a different conclusion from it completely, in that we're talking about somebody who's a drunk that was going through several different bars and had gone to several different establishments which actually had open upstairs earlier and prior to coming to Finn's Pub, which is a ground-level establishment.
Excuse me, but did she actually say she was on the second floor?
She said that she
Statement?
was upstairs.
Upstairs?
Okay, there are no
She didn't
stairs.
say she was on the second floor then?
We have a first floor, Mr. Commissioner, we have a second floor, which is under construction, and there is another establishment on the third floor.
Thank you.
But I guess just for,
Oh.
the only way she could see Mr. Holmstrom would be if she was on the first floor. According to what you just, according to what you just said, the only way she could see her is if she was on the first floor.
You know, I would love to actually have a live witness here to testify,
I know,
because
but that's
there are gaping holes in the story that was told several days after the incident, after they had a chance to get their story straight. I would submit, and we'll have testimony, that the altercation started when several people that were involved and named committed aggravated assault against the bar manager, Mr. Eric Finn, who is here.
I thought the manager was Mr.
I'm
Ayers.
I'm sorry, but the person who was acting on the floor. They were both present, the manager of record and the person who acts day-to-day in the supervisory capacity over the bartenders. He was present. There were a group of drunken students, some of whose photos we have subsequently located, but they attempted to tear a jukebox off of a wall. They admitted to having been drinking heavily all day prior to coming out to that location. Some of them had pre-gamed at home. Some of them had pre-gamed at other institutions along the UMass Lowell pub crawl.
Okay,
So-
let me just stop you for a sec. Let's just, if we look at the complaint.
Right.
The, under section 1.116 of the Lowell License Commission regulations, the second paragraph, in all instances where the police are called to the licensed premises, regardless of the extent or severity of the incident involving people in or on the premises, the licensee or manager must submit to the Lowell License Commission and the Lowell Police Department within 48 hours of the close of business a complete and accurate written report of the incident. Such report will advise them of all pertinent facts, including but not limited to the parties involved by name, the date and time of the incident, the action taken by the licensee or manager, description of the incident, including damages and injuries, and the name of manager responsible for the premises at the time of the incident, along with any other employees present at the time of the incident. So, was there ever a written report filed?
No, there was not, and my client will explain. He was not aware of the regulation. It had only just passed this body a very short time prior to this incident. I would, just note that there have either been very, very few incidents of disorder in downtown Lowell, but from my public records request, there has only been one report filed by any institution or any license holder in the city since this regulation was enacted. Although, if the newspaper is to be believed, there have been at least, a few incidents of related to on-premises criminal conduct where the police have been called to assist institutions.
Mr. Hayhurst, if you can come to the microphone. At what time, how many security personnel were on?
There was
Did
only
you have
one.
a shift change? When did security come on?
There was only one door guy because it was 6 in the afternoon. It was a Saturday, 6 in the afternoon. We normally wouldn't have any more security than that. We had a benefit during the day for one of the guys who was injured during the bombing, the marathon. So they would have came in right shortly after that. We only had one door guy on.
So you were expecting over 100 people, and you had one security personnel
I
coming on?
wasn't expecting over 100 people, no. We had something on during the day. Also, I was present, and I had managers present, and 2 male bartenders also there was plenty of staff on.
You say they were, in your account here, you said that there were a few males that were ready to rip off the jukebox.
Yes.
You were inside the bar at that time?
Correct.
All right. No other security personnel except for yourself saw that?
No, actually, Eric Finn, he actually tended to it, because we were
Okay,
both
so
sitting there together.
who was at the door checking IDs then?
There was another individual, a guy, Joel.
Oh, so we had 2 security personnel?
Like I said, there was a handful of us, so one that was actually designated as security, but there was,
Okay.
there was a half dozen guys easy that were employed that day.
Okay. My concern here is, I know this is my first meeting, but I have to bring up my own past experience as a bar owner. I had a pub crawl in my liquor establishment, but I made sure I was the first or second stop on that crawl, for obvious reasons. All right? You are the fifth stop on this crawl. And as you just said, Mr. Weicker, we had a few people that were already half in the wrapper.
They weren't inside. There was,
You had,
there was 400
you had
of them.
over 100 people that were at 4 other establishments prior to yours. You say that you had somebody at the door. Was that personnel, let me ask you, certified in any alcohol awareness training whatsoever?
Yes.
Okay.
He's been working for me years.
Okay. Never stopped anybody from coming in?
Absolutely, we do it all the time.
How many you stopped that day?
Probably dozens. There was
Dozens.
probably 200 people outside that we wouldn't let in. Because
Okay.
we hit capacity, we stopped letting people in.
How many bartenders were on it at the time?
I'd say 4 or 5.
4 or 5? Okay. All right, 4 or 5. All right, all tip certified, obviously?
Correct.
Did any of the bartenders not serve any patrons at that time?
They wouldn't have been allowed in if they were intoxicated. But also,
Wait
what
a minute,
happens
wait a
is-
minute. Your attorney just said that you already had one that was very drunk when giving her testimony. Is that correct or not
Also, it
correct?
doesn't say she was drinking. I'm not sure if she was drinking or not. But if she was even in there, she could have been outside on the curb. She could have been anywhere.
She was inside drinking.
I don't have
Mike,
her here
you
to tell me
you
if she
just
was
told me
drinking.
she was drunk.
Mr. Commissioner, let me clarify. I said that I cast doubt on everything that was said by her. We have no verification that she was inside. She claims to have been on the second floor of the establishment. I take that statement with the grain of salt that it is established with. We have a person who won't show up and testify,
Right.
who writes a statement saying she was upstairs watching all of this out of a window while she was communicating with her friends in the street. And then after it's proven that there's no possible way she could have been upstairs, she makes a magic telephone call to say, well, no, I meant I was on the first floor, but I was just on something that looked like a stairs, and voila, therefore my testimony must be credible because I won't come in here and swear under oath. I've never said she's in there. We're never conceding that she was in there. As a matter of fact,
Wait a minute.
every statement from the police even references that all the communications with her took place outside.
Okay, I'll go back to Mr. Harris for another question. At the time you saw those males ripping off the jukebox, in my opinion, okay, you have 2 options, and 2 options only. As a previous bar owner, I will say this. You can never, ever, and this is like a cardinal rule of the bar owners, small fraternity that we are, you never, ever put yourself in a position that you are the central figure of a physical altercation, be it your fault or not your fault. And you have to make a decision quickly there. Can I successfully diffuse a volatile situation at that time? If you cannot, you're dialing 978-937-3200. That phone
Exactly.
call was not made.
You know what happened? Because normally that's why I didn't approach the situation. I sat where I was, I let my staff take care of it. This is what happened to my staff, is why I actually helped them get outside, because there was 6 of them assaulted him. That's why I got involved. That's why I didn't get involved originally.
Okay, let's get back to my question. Wait a minute, let me get back to my question. Why was there not a phone call made to the Lowell Police Department?
There wasn't an assault at this time. I had the option to either protect him from 6 guys or to just sit back, which I didn't do. I stepped up. We pushed these guys outside. That's
So
what
you,
happened. We got them outside.
you don't consider that assault on your personnel?
No.
Okay, I think, hold on a second, and I think you're misunderstanding and misconstruing the testimony in the question. Why don't you allow us to present the evidence before we get into going after Mr. Hayhurst, who took what I believe are reasonable steps to save the life of an employee who was suddenly and violently assaulted.
Let's, please, Attorney Weicker, just go forward with your evidence.
I'd like to call Mr. Don White. Could you please state your name
Donald White.
and what is your occupation?
I'm actually a mailman, but I also have a part-time business as a promotional business. On that particular day, I was actually delivering some T-shirts for the benefit that he was having there.
And can you please describe to the commission what you observed, what happened?
I had 2 boxes in my hand. I was just walking through the front door. It was crowded. I realized I couldn't go to the right, so I would go to the left. There was another employee there. I don't know if he's an employee, but he is a friend of Kevin's, and his name was Rodney. And he was taking me around to the left side of the bar where the jukebox area was. And I was trying to go through, people that were at the bar. As I was going through people at the bar, I saw an altercation over near the jukebox. I don't know what happened or how it all transpired, but I saw about 6 or 7 kids with Eric over here, and they jumped him. I mean, if I could have dropped the boxes, I probably would have went over and helped them. And one of the persons that were there was this gentleman, was in that group of people. I don't know if he hit him, but it was...
Okay.
What did you observe happen next?
Next, I saw this gentleman over here. He jumped over the bar. He was working the bar
Please
area.
stand up.
Jumped over the bar. I saw him. I saw Christian. I saw, as far as the group of people that are bouncers, security, or people that work at the bar. And I saw Kevin come over to Eric's aid, and there was just, everybody started spilling to the left side of the bar. So I saw Kevin with this gentleman over here, and they were arguing back and forth. At that point, there were a lot of afraid people at the left side of the bar, and people were going over that way. So, in my opinion, they were just trying to get those people out of the bar so nothing would spill out. And there was no punches thrown or anything, and then everybody went out of the bar. And once they went out of that door, I don't know what happened.
And how soon did the police arrive, if you can recall?
I heard the fire engines, and I would say within a good 1 to 3 minutes, there was all kinds of blue lights, and I believe the fire truck was the first on scene, but it was real quick. That would be my guess.
And is it fair to say that the police arrived while the incident was ongoing?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say that, but I like I say, I don't know that, because I was inside the establishment. I wasn't really, I could see the blue lights, and I still had boxes in my hand. I almost got knocked over from the altercation.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
If I could call Christian Diamantopoulos. And if you could please state your name for the record.
Christian Diamantopoulos.
And how are you employed?
I'm a bartender at Finn's Pub.
And can you describe what happened at this UMass Lowell pub crawl?
I was working that day. I was on, if you're facing the entrance, I was on the right side of the bar. I noticed a huge commotion break out. I jumped over the bar at that point to try to break it up. There was several people involved, 6 or 7 people, beating on someone, it looked like, and pulling people off of whoever they were beating on, who arrived was Eric Finn, with his face all smashed up.
Between the time that you went over the bar and the time that the police arrived, how much time lapsed?
A couple of minutes. They got there pretty quickly.
Did you call the police?
I did not call the police, no.
Was your first concern with saving the life of the person who was being beaten or with dialing 911?
I was trying to get him up off the floor at that point because he wasn't in good shape.
All right, thank you. If I can call Eric Finn.
Hello, I'm Eric Finn.
And if you want to go ahead and explain what happened that day.
I was sitting towards the end of the bar, the kitchen side of the bar, and There was all kinds of talk about everybody leaving, and one of the kids in the crowd told me that I should watch the jukebox on the wall because they were trying to unplug it, they were trying to pull it off the wall, they wanted to shut off the music. I proceeded over towards the jukebox. I see one kid reach for the top of the jukebox as to pull it off the wall. I go to stop him, and as I reach up to stop him, he hits me. After that, I was on the ground. I was getting hit, kicked. Wasn't very happy at that point. Next thing I know, the crowd's going out the door, and my bartender's picking me up.
Well, I'm glad to see that you're doing all right, because that picture doesn't look very good.
No, it wasn't very good at all, and it was actually a really bad day.
Yeah. Right, and you were in no shape to call the police?
No.
No. Okay.
Were the police present by the time you were?
Yes, actually, I talked to Mickey O'Keefe. Mickey O'Keefe came in the back into the kitchen to see if I was all right. That was actually after he ran into Kevin outside, and Kevin had pointed out the guys that had gotten me or that had beaten me up, and Mickey told them to let them go.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sorry, if I could recall Mr. White. Mr. White, were you aware of any other incidents at any other bars that day?
Actually, through the grapevine, I know one of the bouncers that were down at Garcia Brogan's. He works at Kronos in Chelmsford. And I guess a lot of those people that spilled out tried to get into that particular establishment, but, you know, they weren't successful. I mean, what I can't understand is how, I don't know if you Lowell knew about this, but I have grown-up kids from 28 down to 18, and it's not a good thing with kids with alcohol at that age. You know, going to pub crawl on a Sunday, starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Nothing good's gonna come out of that, ever. And, you know, from what I saw with Eric, I mean, the real person that was assaulted that day was him. And that was ridiculous. I mean, honestly ridiculous. I think most people, and if I could have dropped the boxes, I would have. I think most people were more worried about his health and, I'm sorry, nobody getting hurt than to call the police at that particular time.
Would you describe it as an emergency situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and I'm surprised, you know, nobody, you know, like a bystander or didn't call 911 or the police because of that. And in their defense, they were just trying to get these people out of the bar, which was a good thing, because the way people were going from one side of the bar to the other side of the bar, it wasn't going to turn out good.
Thank you.
And I forgot, I have Mr. McCarthy. Can you state your name for the record?
Jeffrey McCarthy,
And where are you employed?
Finn's Pub, I'm a bartender.
What do you recall from that day?
As I was bartending, I noticed this altercation broke out from the jukebox, so I proceeded around the bar to notice that an individual was getting beat up. I started directing people off him, directing people out the door as best as I could, and I noticed that it was Eric. So I did the best I could to help him, make sure he was okay. And, you know, everyone else who was there, get them out safely before anything else happened.
And about how long was it? How long between the time you started moving until the police arrived?
A couple minutes.
And you didn't call the police?
No.
What was your first priority?
Helping Eric, who was my boss.
And I apologize for earlier, Mr. Commissioner. My concern, though, was that the information regarding the emergent situation hadn't been brought to the attention of this board. I think now that maybe there's a little more understanding as to what was going on and the immediate actions. the immediate actions were to save the person who was being assaulted. And I know there's a regulation that says you have to call, but if you're given a choice between saving a life and calling when the police are on their way in any event, I would suggest that saving the life is more important. I understand there's a regulation. You know,
What do you say about the regulation that they file a written report?
we simply say that it was not complied with. They didn't do it. They acknowledged that they didn't do it. They were not aware of it. Mr. Hayhurst, even after the police arrived and after he spoke with the police, asked them if he needed to call the matter in. He was told no. He said, I'm going to call in anyway just to cover myself. And that was the reason for the 7:38 call. That was when the police finally left the scene. He did make the call just to document that a call was made. But the police were literally right in downtown because of the presence of this club, this pub crawl, and that they had been involved in other incidents earlier in the day. But he didn't do it. He didn't file the written report, and there's no excuse for that other than it was a brand-new regulation that had just been passed approximately 2 weeks before.
How long
It had only just been posted up, I think had just been posted online. I'm not sure of the exact date that it was posted.
How long has Mr. Hayhurst been a manager of any establishment in the city of Lowell?
It's been 3 years now.
3 years. And he received notice that new regulations were going into effect, correct?
I would say yes to the fact that I believe all the license holders received notice that there were new regulations. There were public hearings on those regulations. I believe several people attended. There were actually multiple sets of hearings to that effect. With respect to that particular regulation.
As a responsible bar owner in the city of Lowell, and being a license holder for 3 years, sitting from here, and I know you've sat here before, so you know that the managers should be aware of the rules and regulations, whether they were voted in tonight or 2 weeks prior or a year prior. They should be aware of the regulations.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right,
And we're not disputing, we're just simply saying that for whatever reason, he was not, because they were new, he had not caught up to date. And that was a particular regulation that was, I believe, one of the last regulations added, was that provision, I think, adopted from another municipality's laws. So for those who followed the hearings from start to finish, I guess they would have been aware of that particular subsection that was added to the reporting requirements. He didn't do it. I would say in his defense that he's one of many places that obviously was not aware of it, since on that same day, even if I were to rely on, and I don't know if the commission has taken the opportunity to review the Twitter feed from a reporter by the name of Robert Mills, who was following the pub crawl. But his Twitter feed notes that there were incidents at several other locations that the police were called and dispatched to that day. And I would submit for this body's consideration that nobody filed a report, regardless of having police dispatched. And to my knowledge, only one report has been filed in the city of Lowell since the rule was enacted. And it was not filed at a location where, say, a bouncer had his jaw broken, but it was filed at a location where somebody escorted somebody else out. And just, that was not our location.
I agree with you on that, but unfortunately, your client's the one standing here before us, and there are people that speed every day on the highways, but only a select few get pulled over, and there are probably bar owners that aren't filing reports, but this is the first one that's had a complaint against them.
I understand that. I'm not going to stand here and point fingers at the other locations and question why the decision was made to go after one and not the others.
Could we hear from Officer Collins?
Officer Chad Collins, Lowell Police.
Hey, Officer Collins, could you describe what happened that evening?
That evening around, I believe it was 6:55, I believe, or 5, maybe 6:55. But that evening we were called by the Lowell, I was dispatched, staying in the Lowell Fire Department, was requesting assistance for some sort of altercation going on at Finn's Pub.
Okay.
And so we were dispatched out there, me and other units. When we got out there, we found the victim sitting out front, Mr. Holstrom out there, suffering from, some sort of abrasions to his face. At that point, the fire department was already tending to him because they were already on scene. A short time later, Trinity Ambulance arrived. They treated him. He stated there was some sort of altercation inside the bar. With his friends and with some other people, he went to get his friends out of there, and at the time he came outside. And at the time he stated he was punched, and then he fell to the ground, and he didn't know what happened after that.
Okay. Did you interview any witnesses?
I did, yes.
And who did you interview?
Jenna Costa and Eric Bresenhan.
Okay. And you went through the police academy, correct?
Yes, I did, sir.
You got training on detecting whether someone was intoxicated, correct?
Yes, I did.
When you interviewed Ms. Costa, did you surmise that she was under the influence of alcohol?
She had alcohol in her breath. I'd say a moderate to maybe a strong odor of alcohol.
Okay. Was she able to tell you what happened that evening?
She was. She was actually willing to tell me she wouldn't leave the area when we were trying to disperse the crowd, that she wanted to tell me what would happen.
All right. So was she under the influence of alcohol when she told you this, or was she not?
I would say yes. I mean,
she was. Okay. All right. And did you meet with her subsequently?
I did not know.
You did not. Okay. Okay. And did you speak with anybody else?
I did, with Eric Bresenhan.
Okay. And was Mr. Bresnahan under the influence of alcohol?
He did not appear to be. He was actually entering the bar. He just came out to meet friends for that evening.
Okay. And what did he tell you?
He said he was walking across the street, so say from like the John Street side of Merrimack Street.
Yes.
Walking towards Finn's Pub where the crosswalk is.
Right.
And at that point, he saw a crowd of people coming out and onto the sidewalk, out of the bar onto the sidewalk. Saw that the victim, Mr. Holstrom, be punched in the face, knocked to the ground, and then he was then kicked in the face.
Okay. And did Mr. Bresnahan tell you who punched and or kicked Mr. Holstrom?
Yes, he described a male in a green shirt with a hat on backwards, a larger man like myself.
Yeah.
He said, when he describing me, he compared me to that person. And then at that point, Mr. Hayhurst was standing out front in the pub, and he pointed over and said that was the male that struck Mr. Holstrom.
Okay. And in your estimation, Mr. Bresnahan wasn't under the influence of alcohol?
No, he didn't appear to be at all.
Okay. I don't know if you guys have questions for the officer.
Concerning Ms. Costa, you did say that you smelled some alcohol. Would you say that she was drunk, slurred speech, or was she coherent in speaking with
She
you?
was coherent. I would say almost that over-talkative, but I
Right.
don't know what her regular personality is like, though.
Okay.
But
Where did Mr., I'm sorry, not Bresnahan say the altercation of the kicking occurred?
on the sidewalk in front
Right
of
on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions? Captain Webb, as a result of these altercations, did the Lowell Police apply for any criminal applications?
Yes.
Okay. And what were those criminal applications?
An application was made to the district court for a complaint for assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon.
Okay. And who was that complaint against?
Mr. Hayhurst.
The manager?
Yes.
Okay. Why wasn't there any complaints filed against the alleged, obviously, Mr. Finn got tuned up pretty good there. And I'm sure he can take care of himself, so it looks like it was more than one-on-one. Were there no complaints filed against those individuals?
This is the first information we've received of anything along these lines, and I believe the assistant solicitor was going to inquire of Officer Collins.
Okay.
Along those lines.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Officer Collins, did you speak to Eric Finn?
I did. After the crowds were being dispersed, and I think even shortly, right around when Mr. Holstrom was going on his way with his friends that remained in the area, I saw Mr. Finn standing in front of the bar. I asked him if he was involved or knew anything about it. He stated no. Did see a mark on one of the sides. I want to say it was almost like a stripe mark of one sort.
That picture right in front
I'd
of
have
it.
to look at
Well,
the
you
picture.
can pick up and take a look at it.
It wasn't quite like that. I mean, at the time, it was like just like there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know when this picture was taken or,
Right.
but, you know, how shortly after, you know, like I said, there was some time, probably about, you know, at least 25 minutes on scene by the time we cleared
You
out.
spoke to Mr. Finn.
Just briefly, I asked him if he saw anything or involved. He stated no. I nodded my head as okay. Actually, he didn't even state no. He stood there with his hands like this, not in a defiant way, just relaxed against the wall, just relaxing against the window, and just went like this. Shook his head side to side,
You
no.
didn't see anything?
Yeah, and at no, but like I said, he never physically
Right.
said the word no.
Right.
Did Eric Finn report that he'd been assaulted?
He did not, ma'am.
Thank you.
Not to me. I mean, there's other testimony saying he had, but not to me.
Did anyone else tell you that Eric Finn had been assaulted?
No.
Captain Webb, have any reports been filed with LPD, any complaints made?
No, no other reports have been filed about this incident or complaints.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know. Thank you, Officer Collins. Attorney Weicker, who took the photograph?
I'm sorry, I have no idea.
With your phone? Okay. All right, how long after the incident?
Why don't you come on up to the microphone?
He told him I did tell Mickey O'Keefe that.
An hour afterwards.
Okay.
I actually still have some fluid on the front of my head
Yep.
from that day,
Okay.
and I had my hat on, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Finn, just going back to Officer Collins's remarks, can you rebut that in any way, that you said nothing happened, you were kind of, not defiant, but what was the reason for that?
Yeah, it was just like when you're a kid and, you know, nothing really happened. You know, I got banged up a little bit. I don't know. I didn't really think that all of a sudden there was going to be charges put on Kevin for, you know, apparently booting somebody. So at that point, I had already talked to Mickey O'Keefe in the kitchen, and he said, "What happened?" I said, "Nothing, Mickey, nothing happened." How do you tell a boxing coach that, you know, yeah, you just got your, you just got beat up out front? You don't say that to a boxing coach. And I said, "Nothing, Mickey, nothing happened." And all of a sudden now there's, you know, charges being pressed, and, you know, Mickey's retired now, so I guess it doesn't really matter, huh?
Did you go to the hospital, or you treated
No.
locally?
I actually went on a date after that.
I see.
I went home and cleaned up and put a bigger hat on.
All right.
I just want to.
Yep.
You need to come to the microphone.
Everything did spill out, like, you know, as far as what Eric said. I brought the boxes back to the kitchen area. Eric was in the kitchen area. Mickey was there, Mickey O'Keefe. He did ask him, you know, what happened, and did anybody hit you? And Eric said no, but I have to say, he was in shock. There's no doubt about it. He was in shock. He was banged up. He does wear that hat over his face.
Yep.
So, you know, you wouldn't be able to see what was under it, but I did sit at the bar with him afterwards while he had ice on his head, so that he did look like that, so.
Would you say that this photograph is a fair and accurate representation of how he looked that day?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Attorney Weicker, has there been any disposition in the action against Mr. Hayhurst?
There is not. A trial has been scheduled in the matter. We've been pushing for the first trial date, and the first trial date that the Lowell District Court was able to give us was January 2nd. We are, you know, if an earlier date comes, we'll certainly take it, but at this point in time, we had to push to get copies of the turret tapes and 911 calls through a motion to compel. That was seated on the day of the motion, and they were subsequently provided. They do confirm that the first call came in by radio transmission from the fire department, indicating that there was something going on, and it was approximately 90 seconds later that the turret tapes indicate the first police cruiser arrived on scene. So, I mean, the Lowell police did respond extremely swiftly to the emergent situation.
I'd like to go back to the fire department calling this in. They just happened to be wandering by?
Yes. Per the statement of the individual that made the call in, he just happened to be driving by and was dropping somebody else off at a location when he went up Merrimack Street, saw everything spill out, and made the call. I apologize. It was the day of the East Merrimack Street fire. So he was in the area.
Okay, Luke.
From my standpoint, a greater concern here to me, and obviously an unfortunate what happened to Mr. Finn here, is I'm kind of going back to, I'm looking at over 100 people who have been drinking for 3.5 hours. And as a former bar owner, I know it takes average drinker 16 to 27 minutes to consume an alcoholic beverage. So it's almost fair to say that if anybody in Finn's Pub at 6:30, 85 to 90% of those people are legally intoxicated. Fair guess. Maybe some less, but maybe some drank more. Hold on, let me finish, please, thank you. When I hear about males trying to rip off jukeboxes and quick to the ready to beat up a security personnel, it seems to me that they've got some liquid courage in them. And I just think there's some lack of decision-making on how many people were served or overserved. And that's a greater concern to me at this point. We got affidavits from people saying that they're shoulder to shoulder. What is the capacity on the first floor, Mr. Harris?
164.
Okay. Did you have 164 people at that time?
Probably about 150.
Okay.
There was people
So
who wouldn't let
it's pretty-
in. There
it's pretty packed in there.
There was
No
more
doubt.
people on the sidewalk.
Okay, all right. More people on the sidewalk, not drinking on the sidewalk, I hope.
Yeah, they weren't allowed in, because we're at
Okay.
capacity.
All right.
We usually stop it around there, 150, just for some buffer.
But do you see where I'm getting at here? We have 150 people who've been drinking for 3.5 hours, and we're still serving them alcohol, which may have lended to the unfortunate incident that happened to Mr. Finn. So I would ask you to rebut that, because once again, as a former bar owner, I hate to bring that up in my first meeting, but you know what? That's why I didn't have pub crawls if I was the 4th or 5th or 6th stop on the tour.
Right, I was actually one of the first few on the pub crawl.
Yeah?
And we actually noticed with a crowd that big, they can't drink as fast or get served as fast. And the pub crawl, I believe, was spread out. They weren't doing every location, because there was 400 of them.
Yeah.
They weren't doing every location at once. They were all bouncing around in circuits.
Right.
So I don't know if we could even been a start of a circuit for one group. I'm not sure, but there really wasn't a group that size. They usually don't get that intoxicated that fast. And there wasn't really no one there you could say that I witnessed being that drunk.
I would point out, too, that had they all been started at the very beginning of it and gone there at the very end, I think the math was probably reasonably accurate if they were all able to get served. But I think even if Mr. Bresnahan is to be believed, he was joining the pub crawl at 6:30 at night.
Yes, that's what it is.
So, I mean, he was just starting, so that there obviously was at least some people who claim to have not been taking part in it the entire day and just starting late. Again, if his testimony is accurate, we don't have him here.
True.
You know, so.
Okay.
And yes, there are several people rolling around. He was running a charity fundraiser benefit that day, which is what the T-shirts were for. So these were people who were coming in that were not in the expected time.
Did by chance, Mr. Hayhurst, you receive a phone call from any other pubs that saying, listen, they're on their way here? I mean, just from my little investigative work, pretty much all the bar owners know that
We
they
heard
were
word of
coming.
mouth that I believe it was actually Mr. Officer Collins that went around and told the other bars not even let them in.
Right.
Because of the accident that happened at our place.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay. Anybody call you saying that you had 150 people on the way?
No.
You had no knowledge that you had?
Oh, we saw them around town, and, we did sign up for the event. There was an
Okay,
event we actually signed up. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you said tell that.
No, I thought you meant that someone tipped me off that there was a problem with them. No,
Okay,
we
right.
didn't
No,
have
no,
any
no,
indication
no,
there wasn't
no.
a problem with them at all.
No.
Like I said, it was a good-sized crowd.
All right, thank you.
All right. I guess this is my concern. One is there was no report filed. And Mr. Hayhurst should have been aware of that. I don't go out very often, but recently I was at Finn's Pub at closing time, and I can attest they did a fantastic job in closing up the establishment. They turned the lights on when they were supposed to. They shut the music down when they were supposed to. They separated individuals that needed to be separated correctly and without any, they diffused the situation. So in all the issues that we've had with and it hasn't been a lot, but the issues we've had with Mr. Hayhurst's establishment, they haven't been with any sort of physical altercations. They've been sound and over service and underage alcohol, but we haven't had any, but just.
Hasn't had any underage, just for the record. Okay.
I'll strike that.
Okay.
But as you know, you hear things from different people. But there hasn't been any incident like this, okay? The next thing that concerns me, so I think that from what I've heard and what I've witnessed, they do a good job of diffusing these situations. And I don't know, have the police been called a ton to their places for altercations, to the best of your recollection, Captain Webb?
To Finn's Pub, since the first of the year, we've received 19 calls. Some of those were for service calls, such as parking issues or medical calls. As far as any type of disturbances, there's been calls for 4 fights and 3 assaults.
4 fights since January 1st. Okay.
Were those in the establishment or in the vicinity? Because I know that under the former regime, the rule was if it's within so many feet, it gets attributed to the nearest bar.
Those were 2 that addressed, so I couldn't tell you right now if they were inside or outside on the sidewalk in front.
Well, and I know there's some confusion as to what address, there's 2 places right there. So, but it doesn't appear that Mr. Bresnahan, from the testimony of the officer, was a friend of Mr. Holmstrom's, that maybe they were acquaintances from school, but the fact that he said he saw Mr. Hayhurst kicking someone, I mean, that concerns me. He's not here to testify. I understand that. But it concerns me. I understand Mr. Hayhurst and the other guys were protecting their friend and their employee. And that's fine, but kicking someone while they're down, I have an issue. If that happened, and from the affidavit from Mr. Bresnahan, it appears that happened. And from the affidavit from Ms. Costa, it appears that happened. I have a concern with a manager behaving that way. So, I mean, there are some issues here that need to be addressed. So, I don't know what you got anything else?
If I may recall the officer.
Sure.
I believe there was just for the record, officer.
Yes, sir.
On the day in question, when there was an allegation that Mr. Hayhurst had punched people, did he ask you to examine him to see if there were any scuffs or marks or anything on his hands?
I believe so, didn't, yeah, if I recall, yeah, I put his hands out, yeah.
And was there any indication on his hands that he had been involved in a fight?
Not that I could say, no.
Did you check his feet?
Well, he had shoes on, so.
Okay.
Well, was there any blood on him? Any blood on his, that you could see from?
No, no blood.
Okay. So if he,
But there was no blood, it was just abrasions, there was no blood on the victim's face.
okay.
So.
But again, the only person who says that there was a victim was.
With the witnesses, yeah, exactly. I did not
him.
witness this, yes.
Okay.
All right.
And when Mr. Bresnahan said that he was just going out to join the pub crawl, did he identify who he was meeting up with?
He did not, no.
Was did you ask him who he was going to meet?
I did not, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Officer
Yeah.
Collins.
I'm as concerned as you are about the failure to report and also about the question of assault, although there's some questions raised by Mr. Weicker about that, but I'm also concerned that we pass judgment and then, what, 5 months from now it goes to court? So that bothers me. But definitely, the issue of the conflict and the issue of no report are important.
Well, turning to the complaint, okay. Relative to violation of Section 120 of the Lowell License Commission, they're permitting the illegal activities on the premises. I'd make a motion that we take that under advisement.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Relative to the violation of Section 1.16, the manager's responsibility, and that's filing the incident report, I'd make a motion that we find a violation, that the evidence supports that there's a violation, and that we suspend the license for 3 days, 1 to be served, 2 to be held in abeyance.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. We will, if I look at the calendar. Yeah, we just gotta give them notice, period. I'm just making sure, 28th, like October 5th.
Yeah.
I'll make them, and then I'd suggest that the suspension be for October 5th.
I'll second that.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
There were 3 counts on the notice. 2 separate parts of 1.16 as well as 1.20.
Oh, okay, I was looking at the letter to Hayhurst Group, the complaint to me.
The June 18th letter.
Yeah, okay, the one that I had from July 25th I was looking at.
We've dealt with 2 and 3.
So the first one.
Failing to maintain order and decorum and license for meetings surrounding. I'd make a motion that we take that under advisement, the first okay. So let's start again here, just for clarity of the record, okay? We're looking at the complaint. The first one is violation of 1.16 of the Lowell License Commission regulations, failing to maintain order and decorum in the licensed premises and immediately surrounding areas to the adjacent premises. I make a motion that we continue that, or take it under advisement.
Second.
1.16 or 1.120?
1.16.
1.16, the first part of 1.16.
I see, okay.
See how, you're reading the same one that I did?
Yeah.
Do you want, that one's different, okay, all right. And is it clear on the record for Attorney Weicker? Okay.
Understood.
So we take that under advisement. The violation of Section 120, failing to immediately notify the Lowell Police Department, I make a motion that we take that under advisement.
That was seconded. Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. In violation of Section 1.16, that's failure to submit a written report. Made a motion that there's a 3-day suspension, 1 to be served. That suspension to be served on October 5th, 2013. All those in favor say aye.
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 I would ask that you consider suspending the day in light of the newness and novelty of the regulation and the fact that steps were taken to notify the police. The full cooperation was made with the police department, and that the police were on scene within some 90 seconds, and that they actually had identified, to the best of their ability, the individuals.
But they didn't file the written report?
I understand that, and I would just ask that this body consider that where it has not charged any of the other institutions that also failed to file reports that same day, any institutions that failed to file reports subsequently, including, I believe, Garcia Brogans, that had a bouncer's jaw broken and did not file a report. Where it hasn't gone after anyone else, and this is a new regulation that had just been passed, I would ask that the day be suspended with the others. Again, because it was new, because it was an emergent situation, because there was full cooperation with law enforcement, I would ask that, that he not be selectively targeted when the law department is aware of other incidents from the CADs.
I think we have to put a marker down at some point.
I mean, you may be correct, but we haven't been brought forward any other complaints, and this is the first one, and that's how we're deciding to handle it. Is if there are other issues, then I ask that the police department bring them forward to us. If there are establishments that should be filing these reports, it shouldn't just be Finn's Pub that's being penalized. It should be all the establishments. So I'm sure Captain Webb will bring them forward if they're meant to be brought forward. And did we say held in abeyance for 1 year?
The 2 days? No, you did not.
Okay, I just
What it is if you had a 3-day suspension.
Yep.
2 days of which to be held in abeyance, you didn't clarify.
1 year. 1 year.
And then from this date.
From this date,
Date
yeah.
of the incident.
Date of the, from the date of the decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't actually vote the first one.
We went through it. We did, we just went through it. And we voted to continue, to put it under, take it under advisement.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we put that under advisement, but I think we did.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yep.
So the record's clear on that, Ryan? Okay, all right. Thank you, guys. Yeah, exactly.
The last item on the agenda is the matter of reviewing the status of the business activity at 705 Dutton Street, affecting Shirley Blanchard of 8 Wamisit Court. Mr. Chairman, there is a communication received earlier in the week from Eric Slagle, the Director of the Developmental Services. It's dated September 10th, 2013. I believe you have a copy of that.
Yes.
I have made Ms. Blanchard and Mr. Sterling available. They made a copy to them as well.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the communication from Mr. Slagle is informative, but that we need to delve into this a little bit more. I'm not sure that we're ready to go to a hearing until, at least from my perspective, I have a little better feel for what's involved here.
Yeah, I mean, the letter that we received from Mr. Slagle says that pursuant to the inspections of the building commissioner, the condition that items of junk are not to be stored in the yard past 24 hours has not been consistently complied with. This, I mean, you guys came in, we asked.
Yeah, we still have cars for sale over there at 705, and there's no used car license at 705. It's at 651, as well as the towing. It's listed in the phone book. Towing is at 651, not 705.
Okay, so this is what I like to do, because this is you can see it's dated September 10th.
Yep.
So what I would like to do, and I hope you guys agree, I would like to follow up with the Eric Slagle and find out, and maybe talk to the building commissioner and find out what's going on, because this is you guys had the allegations, we asked them to come back with something, and they said, yeah, it's not being followed, but there's no documentation as to what's going on.
Did you also send the police down to keep an eye on things?
I'm sure the police are making their rounds, but, you know, the building commissioner is the one that really, it's under their purview.
Maybe you should iterate on what was going on Saturday down there.
Custom collision?
Yeah.
Well,
It's not only one time either. This has been several times. It's an ongoing
like I
thing.
said, Kazanjian owns most of all the garages on the street, and he rents them out Well, I have noticed a couple of the garages, they're there till 10, 11 o'clock at night, they hang out drinking.
Yeah,
To me, that's public drinking. Then they get in their cars and they drive away.
yeah.
And that night that they were out there drinking, I was standing on my porch and I saw the cruiser go by.
Yeah.
So it's like the cruiser just turns a blind eye because
They're out on the street drinking or on
Right
the
in front
private
of,
property?
right in front of
they
the
have the garage
business.
door open, all the cars parked on the sidewalk, and they hang out there till 11 o'clock at night drinking. I hear the bottles hitting the barrel when they're throwing them in.
Now, this isn't Kazanjian's junkyard, this is across the street. Now, Kazanjian's drivers hang around over there.
Yeah, they're all friends, they're all buddies.
It seems like a very suspicious activity when a business is only open at night. No one's getting their cars fixed. Why? Well,
the police?
we called the police on Sunday at 5 a.m. after we last came here
Yeah.
to go forward with filing a civil complaint about the towing.
Yeah.
The officer on the phone said to me, "What are they doing?" I said, "I don't know. You're the police. You tell me. Is he towing a car or is he just down here harassing me with a tow truck?" So they sent the cruiser over. Shirley got out the phone book and tried to explain to the officer that
Yeah,
towing is at 651. It's in
You
the
look
phone
in
book.
this is a brand-new phone book. You look under towing, and the address at Kazanjian says 651, not 705. That's what, we don't get it, what's going on down there.
You know, and like I said, when we call the police, it seems to be a lot of buddy-buddy system with Kazanjian or anything affiliated with Kazanjian. I think you guys need to go and get state police involved or some type of investigators that aren't involved with Kazanjian.
I mean, you look under scrap metal, it says towing, 651.
And I'd also like to go back to the license, you know, the conditions of these licenses at both addresses, at 651 as well as 705, to be conducted within the premises, not across the street from us with dumpsters, and not back and forth,
Well, this is-
weighing materials
Mr.
at
Chairman,
one
if I
address,
may,
going
if I
to
can just
another.
interject. For the purposes of the License Commission, I just want to make another simple clarification. You have two licensed establishments, two licensed businesses. One is at 705 Dutton Street. It is a junk dealer license, okay, under Chapter 140 of the General Laws of Massachusetts. Then there is the used car junk license, secondhand motor vehicles, at 651 Dutton Street. It's a separate business, separate premises. They both have defined descriptions. There was a condition set on 705 Dutton Street with respect to storage of material on the lot and not to exceed 24 hours, and to utilize 705 Dutton Street as the primary main entrance. 651 is a used car junk license. This is a license that's been in existence for over 30 years. Mr. Kazanjian bought that business as it is presently licensed, maybe 20 years ago. So that activity is within a defined area. Outside of those areas, I believe issues relating to illegal activity, if that be alleged, would be something that the building commissioner ought to look at in respect to the zoning ordinance. Beyond that, I'm not so sure what this board may do unless it can be shown in a document that 651 is, you know, that there is a, I mean, it's almost as if to say that if you're licensed, if a licensed establishment to sell alcohol is for 375 Merrimack Street, and then I, as the licensee, go to 401 Merrimack Street, which is the public library or thereabouts, and sell alcohol there, then it's illegal, and it's a police matter.
Right.
And it's a common nuisance.
Right, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
I'd like to show you a couple of Like I said, we haven't been notified of anything. This is also from Mass General Laws, the cities and districts, on requirements for
Did you call the Board of Health?
Yeah, we had Board of Health down there a couple of weeks ago because there was a camper there that was like.
And what did they say?
They're saying stuff like zoning, and he's allowed to do this, but he doesn't have a license to even do it.
Well, I mean, if the Board of Health
No, I called Eric.
regulates dumpsters, that's who you have to address it with. The it's the building commissioner is saying that items are junk, that it's kind of vague, but it says has not been consistently complied with. So what we'll do is we'll ask the building commissioner to provide us with times and occurrences where it's not being complied with. And if they provide it back to us, we'll have Mr. Kazanjian in, and we'll have a hearing as to whether he is not in compliance with his license or not. That's what we'll do, but I can't. But in front of the license commission, any license that he has been granted, there's been a public hearing and you guys have been to, correct? Yeah. Okay, so you can't say that about our board.
Just one, that was a scrapyard.
Right, but in terms of the licenses that we hold, you've been here for every hearing.
No. The only one I've been to was when he applied for the scrap license at 705.
And
I got the card in the mail, I came to that.
Again, we were told everything would be indoors. We weren't told about any activity back and forth between the businesses with the scale, the installation of the scale.
But we don't regulate that.
Once again, I think we're gonna need to go back to Mr. Slagle on this and find out, what instances are we talking about? And then, as Mr. Occasion just said, then we can bring Mr. Kazanjian in here and deal with it then.
Yeah, but you have to, there are limited items that we deal with. The dumpster, obviously, is the Board of Health. The scales are Department of Weights and Measures, or so.
Even though it says there's a license required, that license is strictly Board of Health, has nothing to do.
There's licenses that the Board of Health issues, and then there's licenses that we issue. We don't issue that license. And I can understand the confusion, because sometimes I'm not aware of all the licenses that we actually issue.
You guys only enforce licenses that you.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yep.
But where Ryan just said that 651 has been in business for what, 30 years? 705 is fairly new.
Yep. And you were here for 705?
Yes.
Yes,
That's
okay.
the only one I was
Yeah.
invited to.
Okay.
Then why, if he's supposed to be selling cars down at 651, why is there still a used car lot at 705? I brought that up at the last meeting. You guys said that wasn't allowed. Well, they're still sitting there. There's about a dozen of them.
Well, but I
think Ryan clarified.
I haven't seen any evidence of that, and that's what we want the building commissioner
Yeah,
to come
they
back and
want
report.
to have him, it was dated
So
September
if I may
10th.
just, again, interject, with respect to the request of dates and times when there may, or dates when occurrences of violations at 705 Dutton and 651 Dutton, which is the other license to stop business?
Well,
or just 705 Dutton?
Just 705, because that's 651, I don't really think, that's more that building commissioner shouldn't have to be looking into used car licenses.
Well-
Maybe we can ask the police to drive by and take a look.
Okay, so just, again, with respect to the sale and dealing of secondhand motor vehicles, okay, there are three classifications. One is to do with those that have contracts with motor vehicle manufacturers.
Right.
And if they want to purchase secondhand motor vehicles by way of trade or have a secondhand market with regards to that new car business, they have to have a used car agent license.
Right.
If you're dealing with strictly buying and selling secondhand motor vehicles, you need a used car dealer license. If you're going to deal with secondhand motor vehicles and the parts of those motor vehicles, you need a Class 3 used car junk. Kazanjian's Used Parts, Inc. is a Class 3 licensee for used car junk at 651, 679 Dutton Street. It's one lot. It's been in existence since before 1980. Mr. Christos Theodoro had the license. Alan Kazanjian bought Mr. Theodoro's business in the late 1980s, about 1990, 92, 93, thereabouts. So Mr. Kazanjian's had the business for the used car junk for at least 20 years. And the lot has never changed, the description has never changed. In fact, if it was to look to add to the description, it would take a public hearing, it would take much to do about environmental issues, and above and beyond what the local licensing board might even want to contemplate. And it would have to probably involve state agency, the Department of Environmental Protection, in that regard. So it's a that type of license, a Class 3, for which Mr. Kazanjian has at 651 Dutton Street, is a very restricted type of license, and it has limits. He has one lot, and if there is anything
It's
going
used
on...
cars and parts, right?
He's in accordance with his license.
So the question is, has there been drift?
That is for the building commissioner to make a determination.
There's been several occasions where Mr. Kazanjian has not held a public hearing and has tried to expand that business. I mean, we had cars on a residential lot for numerous years, and finally Walter Bayless came down and said, you know what, the cars don't belong there, the cars don't belong across the street.
From where I'm sitting right now, I think this definitely has to go back to Mr. Slagle at this point for further review.
All right.
I make a motion that we do that.
Well, you said that the last time, too, and it's like...
All in favor?
I think what we need is like Board of Health here and Inspectional Services and someone from the police department that knows what the control is of that tow license. When I call the police and I try to talk to them about the towing license, they send me to you guys.
We don't issue.
I know. And here's our guy that's running for chief that's telling me to come and see you, and he knows that.
I think
Take it
it'll
up with
be,
the license commission.
I think we'll have a better understanding once Mr. Slagle gets back to us with what we need in order to make a decision, in order to go forward.
Yep.
But I mean, can I say, not only are these trucks for sale, the guys that work for Allen also use them. They drive them in the winter to plow with no plates. They were using one about a month ago to remove household items out of the building at 705, and I saw them driving back and forth up the street. And I called Captain Taylor, and I told him they're using one of these trucks that are for sale
And
with
then-
no plate.
And then, of course, they'll mention, well, they have a dealer plate. Well,
Yeah, he
one of
tried
the
to
rules of a dealer plate is it's to be used for the selling and buying of motor vehicles, not picking up furniture and doing whatever, you know?
All right, guys,
And
thank you for
using it to
coming in.
plow. I have pictures of the truck in the street with no plate on it last winter. I mean, they used them all the time.
All right, thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
All right, so when are we coming back?
Once we get a report from the building commissioner, we will notify you to come back in.
Okay.
Okay?
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.